Sarah Matthews stumbled through the trading post door, her thin frame wrapped in a threadbare shawl that did little to hide the bruises painting her pale skin. The other settlers whispered behind cupped hands, their eyes filled with pity and contempt in equal measure. She had become the town's ghost, a living reminder of what happened when a woman married the wrong man. Her husband's fists had spoken louder than any vows, and his drunken rages had carved fear into her heart deeper than any blade could reach. 3 years of marriage had stolen her smile, her voice, her very soul. The scar above her left eyebrow told only one story among dozens. When Thomas Matthews finally drank himself to death last winter, Sarah expected relief, but freedom felt hollow when you had forgotten who you were. The townspeople saw damaged goods, a widow with no family and no prospects. The Reverend's wife suggested she take in washing. The banker's son propositioned her behind the general store, assuming her desperation made her available. Sarah endured their cruelty with downcast eyes, accepting their judgment as truth. She believed herself broken beyond repair, worthless as a cracked pot that could no longer hold water. Then came the day everything changed. A Lakota trading party arrived, and among them stood Chief Two Eagles, a man whose presence commanded attention without demanding it. His weathered face spoke of wisdom earned through hardship, and his dark eyes saw things others missed. When those eyes found Sarah across the crowded post, something shifted in the air between them, a recognition that transcended language and culture and everything she thought she understood about the world. Two Eagles watched the pale woman move through the trading post like a wounded deer, ready to bolt at any sudden movement. He had seen that look before in the eyes of horses beaten by cruel masters, in captives taken during war, in his own sister after raiders destroyed her family. The scars on this woman's body were visible, but the ones carved into her spirit ran far deeper. His warriors exchanged goods with the settlers, their transactions efficient and cold. The white men treated his people with barely disguised hostility, clutching their rifles tighter whenever a Lakota moved too quickly. Two Eagles had learned their language during his youth, when peace between their peoples seemed possible, before broken treaties and bloodshed made such hopes seem foolish. Yet he continued these trading missions, believing that small bridges could prevent greater wars. The woman caught his attention again when a large settler grabbed her arm roughly, hissing something that made her flinch. Two Eagles moved without thinking, his hand catching the man's wrist in an iron grip. The trading post fell silent. Rifles raised. His own warriors reached for weapons. The moment balanced on a knife's edge, ready to explode into violence that would doom them all. But Two Eagles simply looked at the settler with calm intensity, applying just enough pressure to make his point, then released him. The man stumbled backward, more shocked than hurt. Two Eagles turned to the woman, speaking in careful English. "Are you harmed?" Sarah's eyes widened. Nobody had asked her that question in years. Nobody had looked at her with concern instead of contempt. She shook her head, unable to find words. Something in this stranger's face held no judgment, no expectation, only a quiet strength that made her want to weep. The chief returned the next day, alone except for one older warrior who waited with the horses outside town. Sarah was hanging laundry behind the small shack she now called home, her hands raw from lye soap and cold water. She sensed his presence before she heard his footsteps, that strange awareness she couldn't explain. Two Eagles approached slowly, his hands visible and empty, treating her like she might vanish if he moved too quickly. He was right. Part of her wanted to run. But another part, a part she thought had died, felt curious. "Alive." He spoke first. "I have come to make an offer. My people need someone who understands both worlds, who can speak English and learn our ways. You need a place where your past does not define your future. Come with me to my village." Sarah's breath caught. Leave everything? Go live among the Lakota? The idea was madness. The townspeople would call her a traitor. The army might consider her a hostage or worse. And yet, what did she have here except memories of pain and a future that offered nothing but more of the same? Two Eagles continued, his voice gentle but firm. "I see your worth, even if others are blind. You are stronger than you know, braver than you believe. The wounds on your body will heal. The wounds on your spirit need time and safety. I offer both." She wanted to ask why. Why would a Lakota chief care about a broken white woman? What did he want from her? But when she looked into his eyes, she found no deception, no hidden agenda. Only truth. Only a hand extended to someone drowning. Sarah heard herself speak, her voice rusty from disuse. "When would we leave?" The journey to the Lakota village took 3 days, and with each mile, Sarah felt the weight of her old life falling away like dead skin. Two Eagles rode beside her, speaking little but teaching much through patient gestures and careful words. He showed her which plants were medicine, which tracks belonged to deer or wolves, how to read the sky for coming weather. His presence was unlike anything she had known in men. There was no violence simmering beneath the surface, no explosive anger waiting for an excuse. When she made mistakes, he corrected gently. When she struggled to keep pace, he slowed without complaint. The village welcomed her with cautious curiosity rather than hostility. The women examined her with frank assessment, their hands touching her scars without flinching or pitying. An elder named Bright Moon took charge of her education, teaching her language, customs, and skills she never knew she needed. Sarah learned to tan hides, to sew with sinew, to build fires that gave warmth without excessive smoke. She learned that strength came in many forms, that survival was an art these people had perfected over countless generations. Slowly, something remarkable happened. Sarah began to remember who she was before fear had consumed her. She discovered she was quick with languages, that her hands were clever at detailed work, that she had a gift for healing that Bright Moon recognized and nurtured. The children lost their shyness around her, delighting in her strange pale skin and teaching her games with endless patience. Two eagles watched her transformation from a respectful distance, never pressing, never demanding. But Sarah noticed how his eyes softened when he saw her laugh for the first time. 6 months passed like water flowing downstream, each day carrying Sarah further from the woman she had been toward someone she was becoming. The scars on her body had faded to silver lines, permanent reminders that she refused to hide. They were part of her story, proof she had survived. Two eagles courted her the traditional way, with gifts of meat from his hunts, with offers to repair her lodge, with songs sung outside her dwelling that made the other women smile knowingly. Sarah found herself returning his affection, drawn to his quiet strength and unwavering respect. He had saved her not because he wanted to own her, but because seeing suffering and doing nothing violated everything he believed. When she finally accepted his proposal, the village celebrated for 3 days. Their union was unconventional, a bridge between two worlds at war, but love had never cared much for politics or propriety. Sarah took the name Waste Wing Young, beautiful woman, not for her appearance but for the spirit that had emerged from beneath years of abuse and silence. She became a valuable member of the community, her unique position allowing her to negotiate with traders, to warn of army movements, to save lives through information and diplomacy. Two eagles stood beside her always, not as her master but as her partner, their respect for each other deepening into a love that made both stronger. On nights when nightmares pulled her back to dark places, he held her until the terror passed, whispering that she was safe, she was valued, she was home. Sarah learned that scars ran deep in everyone, that healing was possible when surrounded by people who saw your worth. The Lakota had given her something the white world never could, the freedom to become herself, whole and unbroken, beautiful in her strength and survival.